Okay, buddy, so if we take a look at these, setup for me was decent. The only issue I can see really in this sort of posture down the line, getting a little bit hunched. I think that was causing, obviously, some of the issues in the rotation. If we looked here on this left-hand one, taker was pretty good, moving that club away nicely now on the target line. Club face is nice and square. When you get to about here, this is when the body sort of stops turning, rotating, and then most of the swing now sort of completed with your arms lifting. And that kind of gets that club working a little bit too steep as we then come back down, which is the club now steepening up, only because that trail shoulder hasn't gone back far enough, so it's already now working back towards the golf ball. So your chest is unwound basically too quick because it hasn't gone back far enough. So if we look at this right-hand one, when we swing back, same good takeaway, getting the club there, it's keeping that right hip, right shoulder, just got to keep it going back. Once he goes back and stays back, you can see a much more longer looking left arm. So as the club starts coming back down the golf ball, now we can see here a very sort of different position with your hands on the club shaft looking a lot more on a shallower plane to where the golf ball is, as opposed to this one on the left hand side, that kind of very vertical kind of position there. May not seem a massive amount, but we know in this game it doesn't have to be a big change to make a big difference. As that club then starts working down, as you said in the past, getting that club when the hands sort of around about hip height in line with your forearm here. Club at this point is very, very steep, so not getting in a good position, and that's going to cause you to pull it, unless of course you sort of hang on to the golf ball. This one here now, we can see the club working down on a much better shaft line. As we get to about here, your club now is basically on your right forearm really well. And the thing is, from this point of view, we were thinking about something we want to do on the backswing, as opposed to what we're trying not to do on the downswing. So trying not to turn the body too quick, trying not to get too steep. So it's more of a sort of positive focus in a part of the swing that's probably easier to control, i.e. the backswing. So turning more, get the right side working more onto the way back here. And once you've done that now things are going to start falling into place. The club, we can see now, working back down a much better plane into the golf ball. Yeah, you could argue it's a little bit on the steeper side, but it's certainly not as steep as it was. And as we saw by the results of the swings you're making, getting that club into a much better position. Club working, as we see, nicely from the inside and then through the target. Just on occasions, there was a bit of a sort of hang on to the club face, weren't really quite releasing it as much, but I think that's down to more of the fact being a little bit steep before. Your path then would have been a little bit to the left. If you had released it, we get the old happy hookers going off to the left there. So you kind of almost sort of unconsciously created that kind of holding onto the club face to stop the hook being too destructive. So focus on that takeaway and that backswing, get that left side moving more, so the right side moving more in the backswing, right shoulder, right hip, just keep it to turn. As the body moves, the club keeps going with it. And once you get in that better position, now the club can start working back down on a much better plane into the golf ball, as opposed to before when you were getting a little sort of steep here now. And then as we come back down, everything now just sort of out of position, out of sync, forcing you to try and sort of fix things in that last second, which, as we know, is not going to be a very successful way of doing it. So we look at those sort of two positions there now. The golf club, as we can see, much more through your right bicep here. That one there, much more through your right shoulder. So work on that backswing, get that body turning a bit more, and I'm sure that club will start working a bit more on plane, get those golf balls working more towards your target, buddy. So hope that makes sense. Any questions, obviously, give me a shout, but I'll see you next lesson. Cheers, bud.